Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to take a look at a bit Atari VCS2600, but before we start I have to show you something else which is pretty cool. You might see there's a white pen in my Pandora here. It fits beautifully, and the reason it's white is because it's a prototype. And it's not a prototype from ourselves, it's a prototype from someone at the board whose name is Elton. And he invented the X-Stylus. The X-Stylus already won some prizes. So what's so special about the X-Stylus? At first it looks like a normal stylus, but then you can open it like this, put it here, and now basically you have a pen. So I have now a normal pen here, if I want to use it as a touch screen. Which feels pretty well. It feels like you've got a ball pen or something like that. It doesn't feel like the normal stylus. And of course, you can always close it down again. And it fits perfectly into the Pandora here. So this is one of the cool things that has been invented by guys from the community already. He already did that for the Nintendo DS and won prizes. So this is pretty cool that we've got such a cool thing also for the Pandora, and if all goes well it should be available soon. So thanks to you, Elton, pretty cool idea, pretty cool thing, and a neat addition to the Pandora. Okay, let's start with some VCS2600. The VCS2600, why not being the very first video game console out there, it probably started the whole scene and made video gaming popular. So we're going to take a look at some games. Here's Berserk, which is available for different systems as well. You run around different rooms and shoot everything you see. Then there's Burger Time, which is also available for different systems, though the VCS version is pretty simple. The Atari 2600 was my first video game system, so I have a lot of fond memories. I played it when I was little, so you might have some too. It had a large library of games, very simple ones, very stupid ones, very weird ones, and pretty cool ones. Here's California Games, which actually is a pretty decent game. And here's Carnival. Simple but cool game where you simply have to shoot down all the ducks and the other items here. Here's one of the later games that showed that the VCS really was not a bad system. That's Commando, with nice sprites, scrolling, everything in there. Pretty nice port if you ask me. And it shows what would have been possible with this system. Here's Congo Bongo, basically a 3D Donkey Kong if you want to see it like that. Has very weird control on the VCS, but well, one of the first ports. Then there's also Crystal Castles, which is a port from an arcade machine. I like the arcade version better, but I remember me playing that game on the Atari. Now here's one of the games where it's said it's weird. This is Deadly Duck, where you are a duck shooting at birds. I have no idea why you're a duck, but oh well, some games don't need any explanation, they're just for fun. Here's another one of the later games, Dark Chambers from 1988. Basically it's very similar to Gauntlet if you ask me. It's a shooter with scrolling, extra weapons, keys. It's all in there. Also one of the cool games on the VCS. Then there's Donkey Kong. Of course there's Donkey Kong for nearly every system out there. But the VCS port probably was a pretty decent one for the system. And it's still fun. Here's also one of later games. Basically a good idea but not very playable. That's Double Dragon. Yeah, it's a conversion of Double Dragon. But as you can see, fighting is not really easy. But at least they tried to do that. Did you know that there were role-playing games on the Atari? Here's Dragon Stomper. You can move around and fight items. It's all in there. One of the first role-playing games basically. A pretty nice game with, well, cool graphics. Bit hard, that's Fathom. I remember playing it back when I was a child. I think I played up to the 5th level and, well, then found out you can't finish the 5th level since there was a bug in there. But, well, just try to get to the 5th level. The game is not easy. But I tried a lot when I was a child. I had nothing better to do, so I fought my way there. Anyone who grew up in the 80s knows there are a few movies that you couldn't miss, like E.T. and Back to the Future and Gremlins and Ghostbusters. And of course, there were games for that on the VCS2600. I won't show you E.T. because I bet you all know the story about E.T. and I showed it last time. But this is Gremlins, and you know, don't feed them because if they are fed after midnight they will turn into gremlins. Activision did a few of the best games on the VCS2600, and here's Hero, which is a very good version on the VCS. Plays very well, and well, it's my favorite version. I even like it more than the C64 version. Yes, that's true. Another game I remember playing when I was young, that's Jungle Hunt. Basically a pretty simple game, but well, full of fun memories here. And now if you think the Lord of the Rings games have to be 3D, nope. Here's an actual 2D one. Pretty weird. Have no idea really what I'm doing there, but well, it exists. Before the NES has been released or the Famicom, Nintendo had some decent arcade games. Of course, there's Mario Brothers, and that's also available on the VCS2600, as you can see here. A very good arcade conversion, in my opinion, is Missile Command on the VCS. That's also one of the titles I played a lot when I was young. And the next one is also an arcade conversion, that's Moon Patrol. Also very playable here. Then here's another one of those weird games, that's Obelix, where you have to first hit the Romans and then throw with your stone onto them. And the official Frogger, which is basically the best version of Frogger on the VCS. So another cool arcade conversion here. Next we have Phoenix, also an arcade conversion. One of the first games I ever played in my whole life. It was the first game that I owned for the VCS. So I played it hours and hours. And another one of those good Activision games, that's Pitfall. Pitfall was the first game where you didn't have any lives, but you had time and score, and the score should be as high as possible after 20 minutes. Let's stay a bit with arcade conversions. Here's Q-Bird. Also one of those games I owned. Well, my sister owned it. And here's Super Cobra. I remember playing that through all the levels. I think those were 20 levels. You could play it for hours and hours and hours, and yeah, it was a pretty long game for the small system here. Ever played Lost in Blue for the Nintendo DS? Well, the first version of that game basically was Survivor Island on the VCS. Also a pretty complex game. This is just the first level where you have to go to get to the island, but then the surviving starts. Another one of those games from Starpath, which is pretty complex. So that's for today for the VCS2600, a system that's very complicated to emulate because it was basically an analog computer system, but it's running well and it has a lot of neat games that you can only understand if you were born at that time. The very first games available at home. That's how it all started. So, see you tomorrow.